This is The Drive with Dale Lolley and Matt Williamson on your 24/7 home of the black and gold. SNR, Steelers Nation Radio.
And welcome to The Drive. I am Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson, and it is a chilly Thursday here in Pittsburgh. The wind blowing quite steadily across Mount Olympus up here in Bridgeport, or Bridgeville, I should say, and chilly
down by the rivers.
Down by the rivers, very cold. But Matt, I thought today to kick off the show we would do something we typically do when the Steelers play a team that maybe a lot of our listeners aren't super familiar with. We go position by position and take a look at these two teams and how they measure up.
There's not many teams that are better position by position than this Philadelphia Eagles squad.
So we'll start at wide receiver. Obviously, no George Pickens there.
Right.
But the Eagles have Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, Jahan Dotson, who's done nothing for them this year.
That's a strange move.
Johnny Wilson, Aeneas Smith.
I like those two down the road. I mean, they're late picks. They're like polar opposites of each other.
Yeah.
I think Brown's a top 5 receiver. I would say Smith is a top 15 to 18 receiver. I don't know what to think of Dotson, but he's out of sight, out of mind. They don't throw, and
that's the thing. They don't throw the ball.
It's crazy how little they throw. I mean, the trends are even getting harsher and harsher.
And
they're deep into games, they don't throw.
They're paying these two guys a boatload of money to not throw the football.
I know. I went to look at it real quick, but some of you can like A.J. Brown's apparently upset, or whatever, and
he's got 44 catches this year.
I know, and which is kind of crazy. But they're winning,
Yeah.
I mean, I understand receivers kind of a selfish position by nature and should be, but he has 15 second half targets over the last 9 games. I mean, they're putting teams away, but I am in fantasy. It's
when we were talking to Bob Labriola yesterday, and he mentioned A.J. Brown and all this stuff. I'm like, but they don't really throw the football.
They don't throw the football.
They threw it 21 times last week against Carolina in a game that was back and forth.
Yeah, right.
The entire game.
You think of them as just sitting on the ball in the second half. No, they just are good at running it, and they're not great at throwing it.
And I think they're really kind of trying to limit Jalen Hurts a little bit because when they came out of this season, they were throwing the ball.
Oh, yeah, until their week 5 bye is when everything changed, yeah.
And they kind of realized that's not the way we want to play. They were 3-2 at the bye, and maybe we got to change this up a little bit, and we got Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
They're like the anti-Ravens. The Ravens go games where they forget they have Derrick Henry.
Oh, I see what you're saying, yeah.
And they'll give it to him 12 times.
Speaking of the Bengals, that might be the only receiver pairing I would take over this one. There's some good ones out there. Rams, trying to think who else off the top of my head, but Bucks, when healthy, I'd take these guys. I mean, Brown carries a lot of weight. Addison's come on from Minnesota, too.
Yeah.
Dolphins, but they're right there.
If the Steelers had Pickens in this game, I would have him ahead of Devontae Smith.
That's a close one for me.
I just think he's a more dynamic.
I think the physicality of him. And the size,
Smith is he's a burner, and he's he can take the top off. But I think Pickens does more stuff.
I think Smith's a really, really good chain
I think
mover.
they're both really good. I'm not saying either one of them's. That guy sucks.
Stinks,
I'm not saying that.
Right.
I think Pickens is better though.
I get you. I would think Smith is easier to play against. I mean, Pickens is a nightmare to play against because of his size and body control and bad balls he can still come down with. Yeah, it's a good one.
But obviously you have to give the edge to the Eagles here. Tight end, they don't have Goddard. The Steelers have an obvious advantage here.
Right. Who do they have behind Calcaterra?
C.J. Azuma.
Okay.
And E.J. Jenkins.
Okay. I mean, Calcaterra's okay, and he seems to factor in when Goddard's out, but, I mean, he would be the third guy here.
Yeah. Azuma's a blocker. If he's on the field, that's a plus.
That's probably their worst position group now I think about it.
It's not good.
No.
Yeah. The offensive line, we'll go left to right. Jordan Mailata, Landon Dickerson, Cam Jurgens, Mekhi Becton, Lane Johnson. Obviously, the 2 tackles are 2 of the best guys in the league at their positions.
I think Dickerson's really good, too.
Yeah.
They've gotten a lot out of Becton. He's trying to rejuvenate his career as a guard. I would take the Eagles line of the Steelers.
Yeah.
I'd take it over every line except for the Lions.
It's a really good line, but if you go man for man, I'll take Frazier over Jurgens.
Yes. McCormick and Becton are probably a wash, but
yeah,
I would have to study Becton. But I mean, I'd probably give it to Becton. I mean, he's been around longer, and he's a former first-round pick. But I mean, he was rough with the Jets. A lot of that was injuries too.
Yeah, he was just a non-entity.
Mm-hmm.
Running back, I mean, Saquon Barkley, Kenneth Gainwell,
sure,
Will Shipley.
I would address the depth in the offseason, though. Like they seem to like Gainwell, and I guess he does some dirty work, but he's smaller and he's been around for a while. Like,
well, they drafted Shipley this year in the 4th round.
Yeah, that was higher than I thought he'd go too.
Yeah,
maybe he is that guy, but we haven't seen a lot of him.
The most interesting position here is quarterback.
I give the edge to Steelers.
I do too.
That might shock people, and I'm not being a homer at all. I think Hurts has some concerns, limitations.
There's a reason why they're throwing for so few yards with two of the best wide receiver, maybe the best wide receiver pairing in the league.
Yeah,
they're trying to limit what he does, his exposure, because when he throws a ball a lot, bad things happen.
Bad things happen, and it's not that he's careless with the football. Yeah, I mean, he throws some picks, of course, especially early in the season when they were throwing a lot. But he's just not real sharp, and that doesn't. I'm not mean like he's dumb. I just mean these things are late, and he's not.
I think teams, his first run through the league, I think teams were trying to how do we defend this guy? I think teams
he has some strong tendencies.
Yeah, I think teams have kind of figured out some tendencies here, and they're playing them against him, and he hasn't adjusted yet. And when you're only throwing the ball 20 times a game, you don't get an opportunity to adjust.
Right. He's not a great red zone passer. He doesn't play the game fast. He's a really good athlete, and he's really, really strong.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's twitchy. Like he's not the same as like Josh Allen's twitchier than him. I mean, he's a little bit of a build-up speed guy, and he's hard to tackle. And he's not even like, he's not all that accurate. It's just he's late with the ball a lot.
Yeah.
He's a good player, but I would definitely rather have Wilson.
Yeah, I think Wilson, he's a good player. Wilson's better.
Yeah. Clearly this year. I was asked on a different podcast, there's so many good quarterbacks in the AFC. Like give me your top 5 in the NFC. He didn't crack it. I mean, especially if you count Dak and some of the guys that are hurt. Like I'm taking Stafford and Dak and Love, and he's middle of the road for his conference to me.
Yeah, no, I'd agree, and that's.
I mean, they always have huge Super Bowl aspirations. He's the thing that would worry me most.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised, that they've, gave him a new contract, given what they did with the previous quarter.
How they did with Wentz.
Yeah,
right.
with Wentz, they just said, we're just going to go draft another one and move on because
I actually another podcast was a fantasy one. We were talking Dynasty about he's like one of the top Dynasty quarterbacks. He scores a ton of points.
Scores a ton because he's
Allen's number 1.
Yeah.
He's either like 2 or 3, and I'm like, man, I would not invest in him that go trade for what you'd have to trade for him, because I could see the Eagles doing the same thing to him, because now that he's expensive. What if they draft one in the 2nd round sneakily next year? You know what I mean? And he has a good preseason, and next year after that, they get bumped in the wild card, and it's like, oh, I've seen this picture before.
Yeah, I mean, some of their guys, let's say Lane Johnson decides he's going to hang it up.
Yeah, he's not going to be around much longer.
Things like that happen. They're still going to be a good team. They've still got some good pieces, but yeah.
I don't know if he'll be their quarterback in 3 years.
Let's take a look at the defensive side, because this is where it's interesting. This is the number 1 defense yardage-wise in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
The defensive line, Milton Williams, Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter.
Okay. It's good. It's real good. Carter's a star. I think Hayward's a little better than Carter right now, though. So I'll take Benton over Davis.
Yeah.
I think Ogunjobi and Williams are kind of a wash at this point.
And just the depth is Moro Ajomo and Thomas Booker. I like the Steelers' depth pieces better there as well.
Yeah, I'll take the Steelers' big guys over theirs, but theirs are good.
They're good, but they're not as good as.
No.
I mean, Jalen Carter. If we're drafting defensive linemen for the next 10 years, I might start with
first pick.
I might start with Jalen Carter. If we're drafting for this weekend, I'll take Cam Hayward. All day long.
Maybe over anyone walking the planet
the rest
right
of this
now.
season and maybe next season.
Right.
Just that's how well he is playing right now. The outside linebackers.
So their depth chart's a 3-4, huh?
A 3-4, yeah. You're looking at Nolan Smith and Josh Sweat. with Charles Harris and Oren Burks backing them up.
Brandon Graham's on IR.
Yeah.
He's been there forever. I would bet this is his last year.
Probably so. It's probably even more so after he said what he said about.
Yeah. And I was listening to some people there. They didn't even think it's weird. They're just like, that's what BG says. I'm like, all right. I mean, it's odd, but okay. This definitely favors the Steelers.
Yeah.
It's not a bad group. I mean, it's middle of the road, I would say.
Yeah.
It's not what it has been. I mean, they've had like Reddick and some dudes that are sack masters, Graham in his prime. Not as deep as it's been either, but I don't think I'm taking anyone's over the Steelers' edges.
So if I know you think this, and as do I, the Steelers' front seven, their front line, defensive front, is the best defensive front in the league.
I do.
This one's probably top 8.
8 is the number I was about to come up with. Yeah.
8.
I mean, and over this run where the Wentz Hurts years, it's always like top 5. They've had Hargrave and Fletcher Cox and Graham. Like Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham are going to be in their Ring of Honor or whatever. Like they've been all-time great dudes. It's a little bit of a transition time. All these Georgia young guys, first-round picks they've drafted, and one's hitting. The others aren't bad, but it's not what it's quite to the standard it's been.
Yeah.
The O-line, they're building the trenches. I mean,
so you've got the Steelers' defensive line against their offensive line.
Right.
Strength against strength.
It's kind of fun.
Is their defensive front that much better than the Steelers' offensive line is going to cause them massive problems?
I don't know. I mean, Carter versus McCormick is frightening because I think you're going to have to – it's hard to double those guys. You know what I mean? So it's probably
here's the thing about the Steelers' offensive line.
Yeah.
And your point about Jones helping out there is a valid one. I think when you look at the Steelers' offensive line, you have to consider Washington in that as well.
That's what I was going to say. Is I wonder how able or how willing will they be to say, Mount Washington, you've got Sweat or Smith or whatever alone. True edge versus tight end, one-on-one, pass set like he's a right tackle. Jones, you're helping on Carter. I mean, Carter will also bump inside to the A gaps, which is easier because then you can do a guard center combination on them. But you don't want to waste your tackle or you eat up your tackle helping on a 3 technique. But there's the only way really to help them.
Which again takes us back to if that's what the Steelers are going to try to do, we're going to see a lot of 11 or 12 and 13 personnel.
I would think so. I mean, Washington's going to have to play a lot.
Yeah,
and especially because you're light at receiver right now too.
But that again makes them get big, and it keeps a guy like Jordan Davis on the field who only plays 38% of the snaps.
Yeah, and he's not. Stamina's not his friend.
That was his issue coming out of college. He was a 20-snap-a-game guy.
And, of course, people brushed it away, rightfully so at the time. They're like, well, they got this young kid, Jalen Carter, who's coming out next year. They got Wynn, who was a first-round pick of the Packers. They're always winning by $1 million in the fourth quarter. Why would Jordan Davis play a ton of snaps? Well, he's also like 370 pounds. Like he can't play a lot of snaps.
Yeah, they list him at like 343. I'm like, that's being very kind.
That must have been his combine weight or whatever when he ran really well.
Might have been his weight out of the womb.
Yeah, he's a big sucker. Yeah,
he is huge.
And he's not Vita Vea. Or
he's not.
no.
I was talking with Wolf today, and he thinks that Davis. He's 6'6", which is really, really big tall for a nose tackle, and that's one of the problems. Is when he comes up, he comes up.
Yeah. And especially as the game goes on, and
which will be a real problem against a guy like Frazier.
Absolutely,
who is low and knows how to leverage. Yeah,
that's why I mentioned Vea and Nada because they are tall. They're not built like Dexter Lawrence or and they still are okay. They didn't have pad level issues.
Milton Williams, the other defensive end, is the exact opposite.
Little light.
He's 6'1".
Right. Like in nickel on 3rd and 8, he's going to line up next to Carter.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a supreme tester at the combine.
Quick first step. All that good stuff. He's got some Hargrave-like attributes.
Not as heavy. I mean, a lot smaller, but yes, exactly. Upfield guy.
Yeah, good athlete. So those outside linebackers, the Steelers have an advantage there.
All across the defensive front.
The inside backers with Zach Bond and Nakobe Dean, backed up by Jeremiah Trotter, who's a rookie this year, and then Oren Burks. I'm
going to give that to the Eagles. And I think, I'm not exaggerating, I think Bond has been the best off-the-ball linebacker in the league this year. I'm not saying he's better than Fred Warner. Warner's played with a broken ankle for 10 weeks in a row or whatever. Bond has been unbelievable. So he would be my number one draft pick of all the linebackers.
Here's the thing, though. I'm not there with Dean yet.
I don't know where.
I think the next three guys might be Steelers.
I don't know. That's a tough one. I think I'm taking Dean
at
over
least the
Wilson.
Next two.
Yeah, I'm taking Dean over Wilson. Queen's definitely my second choice.
Yeah.
Dean's got rare speed, but he's not a take-on player.
And Landon Roberts makes plays.
Yeah, I know.
And this is going to be a street fight.
It is. There's not many off-the-ball linebacker groups I'd take ahead of the Steelers, but Bond has been a revelation. I bet the Saints are like, oh, we should have done that. You let him. I mean, he was like a special teamer, third edge guy type guy, and he's been phenomenal.
I mean, I think it's. I think
it's close.
I might be with you. I think it's very close.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's very close in terms of that.
Yeah. And 3 versus 2 has some weight.
Yeah. And they play all three of their guys. Like, I don't know that if the Eagles have to bring Oren Burks or Jeremiah Trotter.
I think Burks is just a special team.
Those are that's a win.
Yeah. I was a little shocked they took Trotter. I mean, maybe it's the Joey Porter dad, legacy thing too.
Yeah, he doesn't run well.
No, he's a little short too.
At cornerback, you got Darius Slay.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Quinion Mitchell. They have Kaylee Ringo there as well. Isaiah Rogers, Eli Ricks.
DeJean
is the nickel. Yeah. And then Avonte Maddox is also there. So they got a lot of cornerbacks. They don't have a lot of defensive linemen, but they got a lot of cornerbacks.
I'm not sure why they're structured the way they are. I'll take their corners. I'm going to call Mitchell and Porter a wash of young guys that are really, really promising. Slay would then be my next choice. Then probably DeJean. I mean, DeJean's really good.
Yeah. Which, again, is why I would want to get them in a big package.
Exactly.
Keep as few of those guys on the field as possible because it goes against the way their roster is built.
Right. They
got all these cornerbacks. They don't have all these big guys.
I'd love to hear an explanation because I'm sure there's a good one that I'm just missing is why is every team coming out in 11 more against this defense more than any defense in the league?
I don't know.
It seems like it plays to their strengths.
Well, here's part of the problem is that there are probably only, and I haven't gone through and counted, but there's probably only about a dozen teams in the league that have a guy capable of playing fullback.
Oh,
Is it true fullback?
That's one thing I was going to say. Is it just the teams they've played?
And there's also only so many teams. I mean, most teams only have 2 tight ends on their roster.
I said most of the teams in the league don't even play 13.
Yeah.
Like if you look at all their percentages, some of them are like 0.1%, 0.3%.
It's just
like goal line or
it's
something
a lost
like that.
art.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things with Arthur
It's
Smith.
still shocking to me that they're number one.
The Steelers have kind of zigged this season when everybody else is zagging. Oh, we got to get all these receivers, and when you get big, it makes you tougher to play against.
It's like the Ravens with Ricard, or
it's like the Jaguars when the Steelers say, "Well, spent the entire 2017 offseason. Well, we got to figure out a way to beat the Patriots. We got to play more man defense. We got to get lighter at inside linebacker." And here come the Jaguars and 235-pound running back, and they're just bludgeoning you. Yeah.
Yep. And that's one of the beauties of like the Shanahan Niners. Like in a perfect world, it didn't go this way this year at all. You got Ayuk, and you got Debo, and you got Kittle, and you got McCaffrey, and you got Juszczyk.
Yeah.
Those 5 are out there all the time, and those opposing defenses aren't used to playing the same 5 and a fullback that can split out. So this is a weird week of prep, and the Steelers are absolutely a weird week of prep, But I still don't understand why would every offense come out in such heavy 11. And maybe they regret it. I mean, they lose almost every time.
Right. It's a safety position. You got C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Reed Blankenship.
It's fine, but it's not as good as the Steelers.
It's not as good as the Steelers, yeah.
No. C.J. Gardner-Johnson reminds me of the third-line right wing Matthew Barnaby hacking and taking every liberty he possibly can that you love is on here. Yeah. I mean, he's in the corners digging, sticking people when they're not looking.
He's the guy that gives you the sideways eye glance when he sees if the official is looking and then spears you in the ribs.
In the gut, and you love him when he's on your team and you despise him when he isn't. But he can put the puck in the net a little bit too. He's okay. Yeah. Blankenship's fine. I mean, he's one of their weaker starters.
If you look at their defense, Gardner-Johnson has 3 interceptions. Blankenship has 3 interceptions.
Okay.
None of their other defensive backs have an interception.
Yeah, I don't know why the takeaways are so low. Right.
Are they a heavy man team, or do they play more zone? I think they play more zone with
I think so, too. That's kind of Fangio's
you would
a
think
big
that
cover
would add to
four.
more interceptions.
Yeah. I don't have a great answer for it because they have a pass rush. I mean, they have, linebackers that can run and cover and, eat up space and tip balls and, pick the ball off tip balls. So hopefully that doesn't start this week. But and Fangio devises stuff, the confused quarterbacks and bait you and all that kind of stuff too.
Here's the one thing. So Russell Wilson talked today to the media, and he mentioned that he's played Fangio a lot.
I bet. And there's so many replicas of him now. Yeah.
Going back to Fangio's days as the 49ers defensive coordinator.
With the Niner days, right?
Yeah.
That was a huge rivalry, right?
So, this isn't a defense that he is unaccustomed to seeing.
No. And it's almost like Shanahan's offense, too, that everyone's copying, off his tree. So you see it a lot.
Yeah.
He's just he's the LeBeau of it all. He's
right.
the first one to come up with it, and really make it an institution.
Yeah, so that part of it's interesting. So it's not. Yes, the Eagles have some advantages.
Oh yeah,
but it's not they're just better in everything.
No
situation.
And but our exercise is linebackers versus linebackers. It's not like you said. Okay, the Steelers D line is better than their D line. But is their D-line better than the Steelers' O-line? That's what they're playing against.
Yeah,
Cam Hayward doesn't go against Jalen Carter.
Yeah.
One of the big ones that is frightening, but as we've talked about all week, is their corners versus this group of Steelers receivers is a massive, Eagles advantage. So don't put a lot of receivers out there,
Yeah.
It's because everyone else has doesn't mean you should.
Yeah, that doesn't, Everybody jumps off the bridge.
Right.
Jump off the bridge.
Yeah. I'm going to jump off the ridge, too.
At punter, it's Braden Mann. The place kicker's Jake Elliott.
Yeah. He's had a good career, but it's
not having a good season.
Right.
And the return guys, they use DeGene as a punt returner.
I know. He's really good.
He's been pretty good there.
Stuff,
yeah. And then Kenneth Gainwell and Will Shipley are their kick return guys, and they haven't been great.
Okay. I thought Aeneas Smith might be a returner for them. I'm not sure he's even active all the time on game day.
Yeah, he's not even listed on the depth chart in terms of that stuff.
He's got punt return abilities, but yeah. Okay, yeah, I'll definitely take Steelers.
So,
Steelers special teams.
Steelers special teams are just better across the board. In fact, when we talk about winning in the margins, that's one way you can win this game in the margins.
Absolutely.
Mann's had a punt block this year.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something maybe you can take advantage of.
Yeah.
You start looking at their depth at some different positions, and
I don't think they're especially deep team.
I don't think so either.
If they run into a couple injuries going into the playoffs, that could derail them.
That's the one thing about this particular Steeler team that you really have to give Omar Khan credit for.
Mm-hmm.
And it showed up on Sunday against the Browns. When George Pickens is suddenly out, you're bringing up guys who Scotty Miller's a 6-year veteran, guys like that. They don't have that.
No, not as much. The guys that they're playing without right now are Graham and Goddard.
Yeah.
But that's not too bad this time of year. I mean, you're a week into December and you're really only missing 2 starters.
Yeah. But you look at the backups and it's just like,
Yeah. Some of them are developmental guys.
Yeah.
They have a cool strategy. I have a lot of respect for this organization. I like how they team build. They also, their owner, more than just about anyone out there, will cash spend too. That's a nice advantage too. But one thing they do a lot, and Jordan Mailata is like the poster boy for this, is in those 6th and 7th rounds when it's just, you could take a safety or, they look for total outliers. Like, I'm going to take the rugby guy that's 350 pounds that can run and see if he can play left tackle and give him the really good O-line coach. Sometimes it hits, and if it hits, it hits big.
Yeah. So
they take some chances, with personnel and things.
Yeah. But again, I just don't know that they're a super deep team.
Mm-hmm.
They've got some frontline stars, and you're paying some of those guys a lot of money.
Oh yeah.
You're paying 2 receivers. What is it, like $50 million?
They both got this year, right?
Yeah.
I bet it's over that. Well, it's probably right about that.
Yeah. To not throw the ball to him.
I know.
It's a strange strategy, Cotton.
And you can see why Brown's a little frustrated.
Yeah.
I'm like, I know I'm good, and I'm open on tape a lot, and we're not throwing the football.
He's even gotten the 50 catches this year.
I know. It's bonkers.
Yeah.
And he missed time, too. But he's their number one by far.
Yeah.
It's not a 1A, 1B thing. When he's in there, he gets a high.
I would have Minka rolling his way a lot and, just kind of attacking it that way and, just telling whoever's on the other side with Devontae Smith, hey, you're not going to get a lot of help here.
Yeah.
You better hope the pass rush gets there, and you better stick with him.
And I guess you could do the Belichick thing where you put your number one corner on the number two, like they did with Higgins and Chase,
and then double
and then roll the other
one
direction, right?
Yeah, because he's going to be A.J. Brown's a physical matchup issue, regardless of who's on him.
Really well built, physical, break arm tackles, rugged at the catch point. Kind of looks like a running back.
Yeah.
Like
he runs like one, too.
Yeah.
Runs through arm tackles and things of that nature. You can't let him take over the game. He hasn't done that.
No, I think that's good to say why he's frustrated, right? Because he's highly capable.
Yeah. And, I think, if they want to try to come out and run the football, have at it.
Yeah. And that's what they're going to do.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a whole lot of mystery with how this offense wants to play. They just keep going deeper and deeper and heavier into their tendencies.
Yeah. So.
And it works.
Yeah, it's worked thus far for him, but it plays to the way Mike Tomlin might want to play this game.
Yeah, short.
All right, you want to turn this into a bare knuckle fight? All right, let's have at it. Like my team's very capable of doing that as well.
By Kaylee Ringo, that's just my game.
So that's one thing you can say about this Steelers roster is that they've shown this season. Okay, you want to turn this into a 17-16 game? We can do that. Mm-hmm. You want to turn it into a track meet? We can do that.
In this instance, I really think you're doing the Steelers a favor if you do that.
Yeah.
Because your defense is going to be competitive with their offense, I think, no matter what.
Yeah.
And if that allows me to live with some 3-and-outs while I'm landing body blows, handing it to Najee and wearing down the Jordan Davises of the world, and it's 3-0 after the first quarter. All right.
Yeah, okay. We're in a ball game.
Yeah. It's not like I don't think you want to play this one like the Bengals, first one to 40 wins.
Yeah, it's almost like, without Pickens out there, you don't have your overhand right.
Right.
You're not. Are you going to be able to land the knockout blow? Probably not, but you can land a bunch of body blows,
and hang around until the end, and maybe win by decision. Yeah, exactly. Right.
So that's where you're at. Hey, we're going to get to a break. When we come back, we're supposed to be joined by Steelers linebacker Payton Wilson. So
nice.
You got that going for you here. We'll be back with more. He's Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. And welcome back. I am Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson, and we're pleased to be joined on the Justin Miller hotline by another Miller. Wilson, I should say. What am I thinking here? Payton Wilson, Steelers inside linebacker, having a tremendous rookie season, 55 total tackles, one interception that will stand out throughout the course of his career with how remarkable that play was, and just has been all around the ball all season long. Payton, how are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you guys doing?
Fantastic.
We are doing great. Do you still get asked about that interception against the Baltimore Ravens a few weeks ago? Do people still send that one to you? Because A, it happened against the Ravens, but B, it happened at a huge time in the game.
I still see the clip a lot, but you try to keep the past in the past. That was a while ago, so would love to get another play and put that one in the past. But yeah, it was a big moment, so people still bring it up, and it was just a big moment.
So I got to know, NC State guy, are we cool with Belichick going to the rival or not?
I don't care. They're still going to lose. So
I like it.
I don't really care. Like the quarterback said over there, they can get who they want. It doesn't really matter.
Okay, I like it.
Payton, last week, I'm sure you saw Bill Cowher at the Steelers practice there on Friday before the last game there. Did you get a chance to go over and say hello to Bill, and had you met him before?
Yeah, I've actually met him. That was probably my 5th time, talking to him in person. Over the course of my time at NC State, he came back a few years, and last year he was actually there twice. He got his name honored in our Ring of Honor last year, and this year at the practice I went over to him and spoke to him. So it's awesome to kind of have him in my corner with that NC State tie and just the person that he is on and off the field.
That had to coming to the Steelers, where he had coached for so long, and I'm sure I've heard him talk about you before. Like Bill Cowher loves linebackers. Bill Cowher was a linebacker. I'm sure when he came to NC State, he probably looked you up immediately because you were a pretty good linebacker at NC State.
Well, thank you.
So I have to know. I mean, I don't think it's a great secret or we're divulging a whole lot of behind-the-scenes stuff here, but this Saquon Barkley guy is pretty talented and pretty good. I mean, studying him all week, can you find yourself like getting in fan mode and going, wow, or what kind of challenges does he present?
Yeah, well, with the fan mode thing, it's honestly been really cool for me this whole year because each week it's like that almost. Not.
I bet that makes sense.
You're in the NFL, so you see wow moments from everyone. But I mean, Saquon Barkley is obviously, like PQ said a few days ago, he's kind of got that crown right now. He's the best running back in the league, and he's playing like it. And you just have to schematically execute, and it's more so about guys getting off blocks and tackling and gang tackling because a lot of times one person can't bring someone like that down. So just getting a lot of guys to the hat's going to be getting a lot of hats to the ball is going to be important, and just playing and executing.
You mentioned Patrick Queen there, and of course you also have a Landon Roberts at your position. You got Cole Holcomb waiting in the wings. You have Tyler Matakevich here. Just a bunch of guys at that position for you as a rookie to learn from, and a lot of different skill sets as well. What's this been like for you, being able to learn from guys like that?
Yeah, it's been awesome. PQ and E-Rob, they've just been extremely, just generous and awesome to me, and the way that they've kind of took me in, taught me the game, the way that they see it through their eyes, just the way that they play and the way that they talk to each other in the meeting rooms is super cool, and just being able to learn from them and play beside them I'm just grateful for it. They're amazing teammates and amazing players as well.
So I'm not sure if all of our listeners know this, but the Steelers are basically the best defense in the league at limiting quarterback rushing yards. And is that more of just getting a lot of hats to the ball? Is that a pass rush plan? Is that something you guys think stress more than other defenses? I mean, do you have a reason behind that? And obviously that's really big for this week with Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, I think a lot of that is just Coach Tomlin and his experience. He's been doing it for so long. He told us not too long ago when we were playing Lamar, like he grew up in a conference where he had to play Michael Vick. So, just, having to, deal with that his whole life. He does some great things in that area. And then, like you just said, of course, when you're playing people like Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, in our division by itself, Jameis Winston, Deshaun Watson, when he was playing with so many mobile quarterbacks in today's league, you definitely have to have schematics as well as, guys that are just willing to get off blocks and make plays.
So as a rookie on this team, we've gotten to see here for the fans, have gotten the curtain pulled back the last couple of weeks with the HBO show coming in. Have you found yourself yet kind of saying any of the Mike Tomlinisms yourself yet? Or have you not been here long enough to fall into some of that? Because I talk to guys in the locker room all the time. I've been here Mike's entire career, and you'll hear every once in a while somebody will say something that it came straight from Mike Tomlin. Have you caught yourself yet?
You only got to be around that guy for about 2 hours to catch on to his what people call Tomlinism. So I've definitely been around long enough that somebody would say something to me and almost hit him with it, but I have to catch myself and be like, all right now, But no, just the just credit to him and the consistency that he brings, and just for me, it's more so his willingness to treat everybody from top down the same. He's willing to call out the best of the best the same way he is willing to call out somebody that's on a practice squad. It's just how he is, and he's an amazing coach, and just seeing it firsthand it's truly unbelievable. It's pretty exciting to get to see. Some people get to see just a glimpse of it with the Hard Knocks.
Payton, please don't think that I'm implying that you're hitting a rookie wall, but I'm curious. Could you understand how rookies might? This late in the season, the physicality, the strain of going through the combine and all the draft stuff, and then your first training camp. Could you see how rookies do hit a wall around this time of year?
Yeah, definitely. It's a long season, but luckily for me, what I think is the best sports town in all of the world now that I'm here. it never really doles out. You never kind of really get that feel of like, oh, I got to go do it again. And just, I mean, the energy that we have in that building every day. I mean, we have guys like Cam Hayward, TJ Watt, and, we're chasing a goal for ourselves, but really for guys like that. So for me especially, like, there's no time to hit that rookie wall. Like, we have goals that we have to reach, and there's just no time for any of that.
Well, we know you're short on time as it is, so we will let you get back to doing your studying for the Philadelphia Eagles. Huge game this week with the Eagles, the cross-state rival. Our guest has been Payton Wilson, Steelers inside linebacker. We appreciate you stopping by, and good stuff, Payton, and good luck on Sunday.
Yeah, thanks so much.
That was Steelers linebacker Payton Wilson.
Good stuff.
Having a great rookie year.
Yeah, and you can tell why he has such a good head for the game too. He has a real good feel about him. You saw that on tape at NC State. I mean, his pride in his alma mater. I think they found themselves a good one there.
Absolutely. Yeah. And if you look at this rookie class, Omar Khan did a great job last year, and his guys identifying the needs and what would help make this team better. And I don't know if you look at this group this year, they might even be more impactful than last year's group.
And the first-round pick's been out the whole time.
And you haven't had your first-round pick.
Yeah, I think it's a debate at least. I mean, Frazier's a plug-and-play starter. That goes a long way. Didn't count on McCormick, but he's fit right in, of course. He was that guy that when they draft him, I'm like, always have that extra lineman. Did they really need to draft 3 of them? Well, I'm pretty glad they did.
And Wilson's been a fixture on the defense.
Yeah, and more I think about it, too, Roman Wilson hasn't been in the mix.
Yeah.
2 of your high picks have been injured,
Yeah, and you've still gotten those kind of contributions out of those guys.
Right.
It's been pretty tremendous. And I just mentioned when we were going through the roster per roster, the depth pieces that Khan went out and got, the veteran depth pieces, and yet you're still getting big contributions from some of these young guys this is their first time around this whole thing.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if 10 years you look back at this team and be like, boy, look at the 2 back-to-back drafts.
Those are 2 foundational drafts.
Yeah, right. And what if you happen to put a 3rd one on top? Or, you know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely.
Wow, that changes the franchise pretty quick.
Absolutely. But we got to get to a break. That was some good stuff there from Payton Wilson. But he is Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt and I will be back with more right after this. And welcome back. I am Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson, and this is The Drive on the Steelers Audio Network. And, of course, you can hear The Drive every Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. right here in these very airwaves. You can also download the Steelers mobile app and get that there, and also get all kinds of other great content as well, including the video that we shoot every Thursday with Rob King.
Yeah, that just went live. Go check that out on
Go check that one out.
.com.
And, you can also follow along on YouTube and leave us your comments.
Yep, please do.
Looking at the injury report for today, Matt, for the Steelers. We don't get for whatever reason, the Eagles didn't send out their injury report last night until like 6:30, almost 7 o'clock.
You said that. Are there rules on that?
I don't know.
I mean,
obviously
there
aren't.
Gentleman's agreement.
Yeah.
Let's get these
you got to have them out
as
at some
possible.
point,
Yeah.
and that's when they got released to us yesterday. Patrick Queen was resting yesterday. He was back today.
Good.
And I should note, yesterday they practiced outside in the snow during a snowstorm. Today they moved back inside, I think, because there was some ice on the practice field. There was a little bit of snow cover on that kind of stuff. George Pickens, of course, did not practice again today. He's not going to play.
It's not going to happen, right?
Mike Williams was a return. He returned. He rested yesterday, so he was a full participant today. Same with Najee Harris.
There was a bunch of resters yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Deshaun Elliott, dealing with a hamstring issue, did not practice again today.
That would be a big one.
That would be a big one
a big one.
Yeah, so we'll
He's
see.
Been really good.
See where that goes.
He's played
tomorrow.
better than people want to give him credit for, too, though.
Yeah.
It would be a downgrade, but that's something to monitor.
Landon Roberts got the rest day today inside. You want to take care of his knees. Same thing with Michael Pruitt and Cordero Patterson.
I would think our new buddy Payton Wilson got a lot of attention today, then, right?
So the older guys, because they were indoors on the turf,
just a little easier on the
on their knees. Yeah. Montravius Adams, a full participant again today. So I'm betting he gets activated this week.
I'm hoping. I think his window. I don't think they're going to let him go back to IR. He's going to play at some point for the Steelers. Him and Trice are the ones I'd like to see.
Yeah, and the Trice stuff.
It's hard to get him on the field right now.
Yeah,
right.
Somebody tweeted that when he was placed on the inactive list on game day, and somebody tweeted at me, "I can't believe Trice is inactive today." I'm like,
How many corners are you going to have active?
Who are you making inactive?
Right.
Tell me.
It can't be Pierre.
Right. It's not Pierre because he's your gunner.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and so you have to,
it's a puzzle. What are you going to just not have backup offensive linemen that game?
Right.
I mean,
you're going to go with important. 6.
Right, right.
You know, there's.
It doesn't mean they don't like him.
Yeah, there's give and take there. And quite frankly, I mean, he's played like 5 games in his career in 2 seasons. Like,
I mean,
you can be as intrigued as you want about him, but he's got to be better than, you know.
Especially with Dante Jackson's contract coming up. You'd love to have a lot of tape on him. Oh, he's just going to step right in there, cheap replacement, but it's not really how it works.
Well, we talked to Dante Jackson last week. I think you can get Dante Jackson back here to.
I would think so. Yeah.
I mean, I think you can make that happen.
He's quite thrilled with it.
Yeah. Where were we at? Oh, so Montravius Adams, I think he gets activated this week because Larry Ogunjobi didn't practice again today. Now, he doesn't practice a lot during the week as it is because he's an older guy.
A lot of Wednesdays he sits. Yeah.
But they didn't list the resting vet thing on him. They didn't put that on him today. It's still the groin injury.
I think he only played like 10 snaps in that game before going out.
Yeah, he got hurt. Then he went out. He tried to come back in, played for a couple snaps, and they shut it down.
So this isn't a knock on him at all either. But it's also his contract's in flux going forward too. It's a big cap hit, but that's not where I'm going with it. But I wouldn't mind seeing Adams on the nose, Benton and Hayward being on each side of him, and see what that looks like. You know?
Yeah, I think that could be
in the mix. Huh?
What you might see if Ogunjobi can't play, because that gives you your best 3 guys on the field.
Right.
In my opinion, anyways.
Yeah, of the remainder guys, right. I think that's the best way to do it.
Yeah.
And then Benton next to Hayward on throwing downs, too.
You know, and you still have some other guys there that you can mix in and do some stuff with. Isaac Seumalo, full participant today after being a rest day yesterday.
He's not one that rests often.
Yeah. Same thing with T.J. Watt today. He was back out there again today. Cam Hayward didn't practice again today, but again, that's he doesn't practice like
he does that right.
Mike Tomlin a couple of weeks ago called him the captain of the swim team because Hayward's practice is now going into the pool, getting water therapy, hydrotherapy. So he's the captain of the swim team.
Yeah, just poke at him a little bit, right? It's whatever you're doing, just keep doing it. Right?
Yeah, I mean, however you got to manage that.
Great.
I'm good with it.
Yeah, you're fine. Keep doing it. Keep him as fresh as possible.
You keep doing what you're doing. Yeah,
100%. So I hope people don't think, man, why are they resting all these guys? This is a big game. You can't take it easy against the Eagles. Because they got 3 games in 11 days.
Yeah.
You're going to have to really manage these guys' bodies. It's going to be a chore. And the strength and conditioning staff, the medical staff, mixed with the coaches, there's an art to this. And it's way over my pay grade, but that's something that's going to be really important for these next couple of weeks.
Well, and the key to this is, to me, is that a lot of these guys who are the quote-unquote resting veterans are veterans. Like they don't need a ton of practice time.
Right.
I mean, what's T.J. Watt getting out of a practice on a Wednesday that he can't get? Oh, this was the game plan. Okay, I get it.
Yeah, and every one of those guys, I'm sure people are like, but they don't have any injury designations. Yeah, but their ankles are killing them. They've got this bruise that's this big on them.
Yeah.
I mean, they have things that are hurting. Trust me.
This is I see the injury reports for other teams, of course, when the Steelers are playing them, and you see a lot of younger guys. Well, we're resting him, this week.
Sure. Load management.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. And to me, that's where you run into some of these issues with sloppy play and things of that nature. He's a second-year guy, and you're giving him a rest day.
Right. That doesn't fly around here, and I think that plays to fourth quarter stamina and toughness and the mentality and why it's a better second-half team than first-half team. And I don't even mean that in the course of a game. I'm talking about the course of a season, too.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So, just managing, a lot of load management. You're going to see even more of this over these next few weeks here.
Yeah. I'm real curious what the practice reports will be like for these next 3 games. It's going to be not going to get much.
But, I talked to Frazier and McCormick about this for my 5 for Friday this week, about how they're going to manage the 3 games in 11 days. And I think they both learned a little something about that kind of situation with the short week for the Browns game the first time.
Oh, okay. First time they did.
First time they'd ever done anything like that. Yeah.
I mean, you didn't do it in high school. You definitely didn't do that at, colleges they both went to. That's a crazy environment. Yeah, that's a good point.
So you kind of learn how to deal with that short week and your prep.
I mean, even though for the Cam Haywards and T.J. Watts of the world, 3-11 is a rarity. It's just a flat out rarity.
The only good thing, and people are complaining about that, and I get it.
Sure.
But the opponents are all also doing the same thing.
That's the nice thing about it. It's not like how the Ravens have this great rest thing going all year. I mean, it was smart and the right thing to do. I have some issues with the schedulers overall. It's not an easy job to build an NFL schedule, but at least the
4 teams involved on Christmas are also playing Saturday,
right? And crisscross, and do that. So that's fair. Then
it adds a little fairness. You're never going to be completely fair because somebody still has to travel.
I was going to say the 2 teams traveling on Christmas Day, they're
traveling Christmas Eve actually.
Traveling Christmas Eve, and they're on the road Christmas Day on a very short week. Yeah. Even though they played a day earlier than everybody else. Yeah,
thank goodness that's not the Steelers because that would
But still, you got to travel the next 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Either way, but at least it's not Christmas Day.
Well, I was telling my mom was asking me about that, and I'm like, yeah, we got 3 games in 11 days, and she's like, when are the games? And I said, blah, blah. And Christmas, she's like, they got to play on Christmas. I'm like, yeah, this is the 3rd time since 2015 or whatever we've ended up playing on Christmas, and she's like, oh, that's terrible.
They're a popular team, right?
Could be worse. We could be on the road.
It could be on the road. Right? There's a 50% chance that goes even more wrong.
Yeah.
Right?
So maybe this will get them out of having to play on Christmas Day for the next few years anyways.
And then they'll throw them on Thanksgiving or something.
Done a lot of that, too.
Yeah, exactly.
But, yeah,
you're a really popular team.
You just learn to deal with it. So
the Jags don't have these. Well, they go overseas. Yeah. Cardinals and teams like these don't have as much.
The Browns don't have to deal with this a whole lot.
No, they don't.
Anyways, let's get to a break. That's going to do it for hour number 1 of the drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt and I will be back with hour number 2 right after this. Welcome back. I am Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson, and this is the drive on the Steelers Audio Network. This is the start of hour number 2, and as such, we will do the little fantasy football focus here. Yeah. Take a look at who is in and who is out in practices today. Josh Downs, with that shoulder injury, upgraded to a full participant Thursday.
Good, coming off a bye. I'm a fan. I own him in a bunch of leagues too, but I'm a fan. I like him as a player quite a bit. Is he a definite starter with Richardson though?
No,
probably top 36. And there's no buys and that kind of stuff too.
Yeah. We're through the bye weeks now, so it's kind of it's nice when you start looking at stats now.
Mm-hmm.
Because everybody's equal.
I know.
Everybody's on equal footing.
That's a big thing I always pay attention to. Like when I do my stat pack, they'll be like, they lead the league in stats. I'm like, well, they never buy yet. Yeah. It's only week 6.
They played a game more than everybody else.
Right. I mean, I'm more like sacks per game and things like that. Than now it's all the same.
Aaron Jones with a back limited today. He's dealt with hip, hamstring, chest, and rib issues this season.
He's had a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
They need him, and I would imagine they're just going to try to keep him in bubble wrap until kickoff.
Yeah, wonder how much if they try to load manage a little bit there with Cam Akers.
Maybe.
Alvin Kamara with an illness did not practice Thursday.
Okay. I've been kind of wondering how much longer are they going to beat him up. They just invested in him. They have some hope with Kendre Miller. I don't think their offense is going to be good. And then today the Carr might play, which that doesn't make any sense to me
shocked me.
Right.
He was absent from practice today, so he's not playing. He's in a concussion protocol,
and he's got a broken left hand.
And he wasn't there today, so he's not playing.
He's not there today.
Yeah,
he's not playing. Yeah.
Stephon Gilmore with a hamstring listed as a DNP on Thursday.
Okay, they're not super deep at corner. But
they're not.
Yeah, he's had a good year for them.
Malik Neighbors limited again on Thursday.
I'm surprised he played last week as much as he did.
This is another situation with one of those young players limited during the week. Mike Tomlin wouldn't play him.
Right.
Unless you get back and have a full participation because
I don't think he practiced at all last week.
No.
So don't rule him out, though, for fantasy.
Yeah.
But he also has bad quarterbacks thrown, too.
Jalen Coker with a quad was a full participant Thursday for the Carolina Panthers.
Interesting.
They play the Cowboys.
That's not a bad fantasy spot there. There'll be fantasy points around.
Tony Pollard not practice again on Thursday.
I know. I think Spears is very startable.
Yeah. Keep that in mind when we do our DFS lineup this week because this all happens before.
Right.
They put the prices out.
The prices are out there.
No David Njoku again today for the.
I don't think he's going to play.
Yeah, Cleveland Browns doesn't look good.
That's a lot of targets missing from them though. Maybe Tillman's back.
Maybe Tillman looks like he's going to be back.
Yeah.
Maybe a little more Elijah Moore this week to kind of.
And what's his face? Akins isn't a bad receiver.
No, they'll throw him. And Jameis will throw him the ball.
Right. I mean, I don't think it's a 1-for-1, but if he's super cheap in DFS.
Drew Lock sidelined again on Thursday.
Oh, they think they announced it's DeVito.
Yeah.
So I think that came out yesterday, yeah.
Yeah, not good. Tristan Wirfs with foot and knee issues, not spotted at practice on Thursday.
That's big. I mean, they still ran the ball well without him, but he's a great player.
Yeah. Sterling Shepard, a non-participant on Thursday. He's been kind of fantasy relevant for them.
Yeah, McMillan stepped up, but they're all trying to be Godwin, you know?
Yeah. Bucky Irving not practicing
quick,
Thursday.
Would you call Godwin this offseason for the Steelers? Everyone's talking about Higgins. I'm like, you know how expensive Higgins is going to be?
Higgins is going to get $30+ million a year.
Patriots and Chargers and some of these teams that have tons of it's a different conversation for a different story or different time, but Chris Godwin would be a nice Steeler.
Yeah, he's more of a slot, though.
He is. But I like his physicality and Penn State guy, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I'd entertain it.
Mm-hmm.
Bucky Irving, no practice today.
It looks like White, though, stepped up in the rushing department.
Yeah.
So that's good for him.
Mike Evans didn't practice Thursday.
I wonder if that's
It's
a
a
veteran
hamstring.
thing, but yeah.
Hamstring with him. So,
Okay.
yeah, he didn't practice yesterday with that either. So
Who do they play? They have an easy game this week, right?
Um,
I'm saying if they don't have Wirfs or Evans though, and Bucky Irving, like all of a sudden there's some key guys.
They
on
play
it.
Carolina this week. I think they do.
No, Carolina's favored against Dallas.
That's right.
I think it's the first time Carolina's been favored.
I don't know who they play then.
I should know that. But
Yeah, we went through it earlier this week, but I obviously didn't care
didn't
enough.
sink in.
Yeah. Rashawn Johnson with a concussion did not practice on Thursday, nor did DeAndre Swift with the groin.
Who's left out of that group? Herbert's down in Cincinnati. I don't know who would be down the line.
Travis Homer also dealing with a head,
okay.
but he also has a head injury.
Okay. Well, if only one plays, you're kind of happy about that.
Yeah.
Their offense is so up
I'm
and
not
down,
super excited about playing any Bears, though.
Yeah. Like, oh, boy, Travis Homer's out there.
No Teron Armstead. He's dealing with a knee injury at practice.
He's
on
actually
Thursday.
played every game this year for the first time in his career
he's due to
so
miss
far.
one now.
Yeah, I'm saying maybe it's about that time.
Yeah. Luke Musgrave practiced on Thursday. He still has to be activated.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he gets activated this
I don't know
week.
if they rush him.
They got
back,
21
right?
days.
Yeah.
You know, so
they're thinking big picture, too.
Yeah, they're getting him ready maybe for the playoffs and that kind of stuff. Playoffs? Playoffs?
You got to start thinking that way, though.
Yeah.
All these teams.
Just looking here. Anybody else? Breece Hall, seen at practice on Thursday. Status remains unclear.
I don't think that's good news for him. I'm not sure that he's going to get run back into things.
Yeah.
And those other two were good enough, and you're your new coach. Ugh.
No Devontae Adams at practice on Thursday for the Jets.
Yuck. I mean, Wilson would get a ton of targets in that situation.
Yeah. Cedric Tillman practiced today. That's
Good.
back-to-back days. He still has to get cleared.
Yeah.
With the concussion.
But I always feel for those dudes that go a couple weeks with a concussion. I'm like, man, they're having a rough couple weeks.
Yeah. That's kind of pretty much it there for the big injuries of the week. Let's put together a little DFS lineup for tonight.
And do one for tonight?
Yeah, why not? There's a lot of options here in this game against. There should be some points scored. You get the.
I'm looking forward to tonight's game.
Rams and 49ers.
The Rams are a fun watch.
Yeah. So if we're looking at a captain, Puka Nacua 16.5.
Boy, he's been good.
Kyron Williams 15.3. Cooper Kupp 15,000. Brock Purdy 14.1.
Does Shockey Purdy's more expensive than Stafford?
He'll run a little bit more.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, but it's interesting that Kupp and Nacua are ahead of Stafford and Purdy.
I say the quarterbacks are pretty low down the list there.
Yeah.
Is Stafford next?
Stafford's 13.5.
Okay.
Juwan Jennings is 12.9. That's the first San Francisco pass catcher.
Yeah.
Garendo is 12.6.
Is he playing?
He's questionable.
Okay. I thought Taylor was.
He said he's planning on playing. So
really, okay.
George Kittle 12,000.
Not bad.
Deebo Samuel 11.4. Patrick Taylor 11.1. Then we get to the backup quarterbacks. Don't want to do any of that. Then you get to Jake Moody at 7,800. Carty, the Rams kicker, at 7,500.
I mean, for captain's chair stuff, do we want to go?
I don't think you want to go
Yeah.
much deeper in that. Other than maybe the defenses, you get the 49ers defense at 6,000. You get the Rams defense at 5,400.
I can't see putting them in the captain's chair though.
No.
My two favorites are Kittle and Stafford.
Kittle's at 12,000. I think it gives you more flexibility. He might be pretty chalky at 12,000.
Could be
Cheaper than Juwan Jennings.
History shows when they're just short on receivers, that's where they go.
Yeah. The Rams are 20th against opposing
are
tight
they?
ends. Yeah, I think you put Kittle in.
I'm fine with that.
Kittle in the captain's chair. That allows us to average 76 $3,600 the rest of the way.
Are there any cheapies we should think about?
I'm looking there now. Ricky Pearsall is $4,800.
He's been really quiet.
He's been super quiet. Keyshawn Vaughn, $3,400. Blake Corum, $3,200. Israel Abaconda is $3,000. Tutu Atwell is $2,600.
That's not bad. I was thinking like Robinson or Atwell.
What is Tutu done here? Tutu had 3 catches for 45 yards in the last game.
For the price, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Marcus Robinson's still in the mix, right?
Yeah. Tutu in his last, over the last 3 games, 3 for 45, 2 for 39, and 3 for 30.
How many plays? Yeah. We're
So it's not you're not going to take a 0 there, probably.
Right.
Juszczyk is $2,000. Colby Parkinson, $1,600.
So what about Rams tight end?
Parkinson, 1 target for 11 yards last week. 1 for 13, 2 for 10, 1 for 19. He doesn't get enough action.
Been really slow.
Yeah.
Middle of the year, he was better off, but that's when the receivers are out.
Ty Johnson doesn't get quite enough to warrant putting him in
pretty deep here.
Yeah, that's.
You going to put Tutu in the lineup just to give us some bucks to spend?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's
some kind of cheapie in
it's
there.
a $2,600 pivot there. He's going to score something.
At least he'll probably catch a couple.
He might catch a deep one.
Well, that's the nice thing about
it.
Yeah,
that gets us now. We can average 88.50 the rest of the way, and so you got Nakua at 11,000.
I think I'd like to get Stafford in the lineup.
Kyron Williams is 10.2.
Mm-hmm.
Kupp is 10,000. Purdy is 9,400. Stafford is 9,000. Juwan Jennings is 8,600. Garendo is 8,400. So if you're going to get one of those guys in the lineup, we're going to have to go with another below cost player.
Okay.
So Jake Moody is 5,200.
I say kickers and defenses are always good for that.
Cardi is 5,000. The 49ers defense is 4,000, and the Rams defense is 3,600.
You have a favorite of those 4?
Not really.
I was going to say the Rams kicker. I was going to say just because he's cheaper than the Niners kicker. Kickers usually score points.
Yeah. Moody's been better at home. Moody's 13 of 13 at home on field goal attempts.
I mean, I'm fine with it.
He's 7 of 13 on the road. So,
Ugh.
Yeah. Cardi is basically, what's he average here? He hasn't been their kicker all season, has he?
I think he has.
I guess he has, yeah. They don't kick many field goals. He's got 3 field goal attempts the last 4 games.
Wow.
He's,
that
and
crazy one against the Bills.
He's 1 for 3.
Yikes.
Yeah. So
you want to put Moody in?
Moody it is.
Yeah, that's not so great. You made 1 field goal in 4 weeks?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, that's not great. So that gets us up. We can average just a little over 10,000 for our last 3 spots. And again,
good.
Nakua is 11,000. Kyron Williams 10.2. Cooper Kupp is 10,000 on the nose.
Mm-hmm.
Purdy is 9,400 and Stafford is 9,000.
I definitely want to get Stafford in there.
Okay. Stafford's on there. We got 10.6 then we can spend on the last 2 spots.
Okay. Who's your faves?
We got Nakua at 11,000. Kyron Williams is 10.2. You could actually get both of those guys.
Yeah. Nakua is hard to pass up.
Yeah. Cooper Kupp is 10,000. Purdy is 9,400. Juwan Jennings, 8,600.
Is Kittle the only offensive Niner we have?
Yes.
Okay. What would we have left over if we took Nakua?
Then you would have 10-2. You would have 10-2, and you could get Kyron Williams is 10-2. Cooper Kupp is 10,000. Brock Purdy is 9,400.
Who do you like out of those 3?
Kyron Williams gets a ton of touches.
He does, and he scores.
Yeah. Now, it's a short week, and so maybe they shorten that up a little bit. I mean, it's always good to have both quarterbacks.
Yeah. We'd be eating a lot of money.
Well, we could pay up instead of having Kittle in the captain's chair.
Could we put Stafford in the captain's chair?
Maybe we go Stafford in the captain's chair. Maybe we go one of the quarterbacks in the captain's chair. And
put Kittle in the non-captain's chair.
Stafford is the cheaper of the quarterbacks.
Yeah, I would do that.
I just screwed that up there. Wait. Yeah. So captain's chair, if we go Stafford at 13.5, we got Tutu Atwell, Jake Moody. We got our 2 cheap guys.
Throw Kittle in there.
Kittle is under budget. He is 8,000. And that leaves us 9,700 to spend. That would get us Purdy. It's 9,400.
I like that.
And that would give us a lineup of Stafford, Tutu Atwell, Jake Moody, George Kittle, Puka Nacua, and Brock Purdy, with Stafford in the captain's chair.
Nice. So even if Cup blows up, we get a portion of it.
Yeah.
Right.
And we have 300 left over.
Nothing's worth jumping up. Right?
I can't imagine.
Like the defenses weren't more expensive than
Tutu Atwell, paying up from Tutu Atwell at $2,600.
I doubt that's going to get us much.
Is not going to get us anybody.
Is paying up from Moody get us anywhere?
Paying up from Moody is probably, let's say, get us. Nope. That's just.
Okay, does that even get you like the Quorum?
Nope.
Okay, then just.
Quorum's actually lower than that.
I don't know what he would cost.
Quorum's $3,200.
I like our build better, but I was going to consider on a short week putting Kyron and Quorum in. That maybe they would lighten Kyron.
I mean, Quorum still got 8 carries for 34 yards on Sunday. He just didn't catch any passes.
Is he cheaper than Atwell?
No, he's a little bit more expensive. He's $3,200. Atwell is $2,600.
So we don't have enough
we'd have to find $300 somewhere else. I don't hate it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, that's Matthew Stafford in the captain's chair. I
Nice.
like that because you get 1.5 for every point that he scores.
He's
could be
playing great
huge
right now. Yeah.
Tutu Atwell, $2,600. Jake Moody, $5,200. George Kittle at $8,000. Puka Nacua at $11,000. He's been on fire.
He's been on fire.
And Brock Purdy at $9,400.
Puka's gonna be a first-round pick next year.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he's like a top 5 receiver.
He scares me a little bit though. He's always dealing with something.
Oh, he's so physical too.
Yeah.
Like, back to the Steelers. Do you take him over A.J. Brown if your fantasy draft for next year is today? I mean, the volume's night and day different.
Unbelievable. Well, the other question is Stafford still the quarterback?
Well, that's a good question, right? I'm assuming he is. If not, that goes out the window.
All right, I'm going to lock that one
lock
in.
that up.
Locking it in. That should be a winner. Winner,
like
chicken dinner. That might be a little chalky, but Tutu Atwell gives us a nice pivot.
I always think about who the cheap guy is that could come through for us.
Yeah, and Moody's
fine.
Yeah.
I mean, probably he's going to get us points.
Yeah, we should be. I mean, I would imagine a lot of people are going to try to play both quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are going to play Kittle.
I think there'll be a lot of points tonight. I don't think this is going to be 13-10.
A lot of people are going to play Nacua.
Yeah.
You just need
there's
this.
not a ton of people to pick from.
You need this to not be a Cooper Kupp game.
Right. We'd still have a piece of it, but we would be going backwards against the people we're playing against.
Yeah. We're So, anyways, that's the fantasy football focus. We're going to get to a break.
I wonder if a lot of people are playing Taylor, just with the Garendo questionable stuff.
Maybe.
Maybe. I wonder if he's
cheap. Yeah. Let's get to a break. He's Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt and I will be back with more right after this. And we are back. I am Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. And Matt, I thought we'd take a look at the quarterback index today.
Oh, it's been a while. Cool.
Actually, we did it last week, but
feels counting? Like it's been a while.
We didn't do it for several weeks there, but I think it's germane to the conversation when we were talking about Jalen Hurts versus Russell
I'm curious
Wilson.
where they have him.
Yeah.
We both have Wilson ahead.
Yeah, Nick Shook's rankings on NFL.com. At 32, he has Drew Lock.
Yeah, now it's going to be DeVito, and I bet he's 32 next week.
He might be 38.
Yeah.
At a 32. 31 is Cooper Rush.
I will say this year compared to the last few, by about this time, there was about 8 DeVitos and Rushes and
it hasn't been as
teabags. And,
it hasn't been as broad as it has been last year.
Although the Saints situation could add to that mix, too.
Is that a little rough on Cooper Rush?
I would say I'm curious who's above him. I mean, if they're
he's played okay.
Yeah, he can survive with them.
Yeah.
His early tenure when Dak got hurt was rough. Those first couple games.
At 30, unranked last week is Mac Jones.
Rush versus Jones is a conversation, I guess.
Cooper Rush has been better than Mac Jones this year.
Jones has never done it for me. I mean, he just lack of arm strength and ugh.
2 touchdown passes, 5 interceptions. Like,
wow,
come on, man!
I didn't know it was that bad.
Rush is 7 touchdown passes, 3 interceptions. Now he
I'd
has
have Rush over him.
He has CeeDee Lamb,
sure,
but
I mean Brian Thomas doesn't stink.
Yeah, he's got
right.
Yeah. Mac Jones is working with the best offensive talent
he's had in a while.
He's had in his career.
Yeah, probably. I was trying to think what his rookie year was like when everyone thought he was
garbage.
The greatest thing, right?
Yeah. They just ran the ball. You remember that game against the Bills? He threw the ball twice. In that
wow,
game.
yeah, I remember that. It was crazy.
Yeah. It was like Justin playing Madden. At 29, down 3 spots, Aiden O'Connell.
He's growing on me a little bit. I don't think he's terrible. I mean, I think it's a major
Probably
step
a
down.
long-time backup.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I think he's a Minshew, Fitzpatrick, going to last a really long time in this league, probably be on 8 different teams. But I think it's a big difference between him and Ritter this week.
Yeah, I would think so too. 28 down 3 spots. Will Levis.
He had a rough one.
He had a rough
A
game.
really rough one. That's a tough one. What do you do in the offseason?
Ooh.
You know,
I'd draft a quarterback.
I said I might have bring in a veteran.
I would draft a quarterback. You're not married to this guy.
No, and he could still hang around, compete.
And the rest of the team is not awful.
No, you could be okay. I mean, like if you had Derek Carr, you'd be okay.
Yeah.
You know.
At 27, up 2 spots. Anthony Richardson.
Okay, that's where he belongs for now.
He still has 7 touchdown passes this year in 9 games.
Yeah.
Yeah. 9 interceptions, 9 fumbles.
Yeah. Hasn't gone great.
These are 4 big games for them.
Honestly, coming off
down
the bye, I'm
stretch.
curious how he finishes things up here.
At 26, down 2 spots. Drake May.
I prefer May to Richardson. He's got a lot less around him.
Yeah. At 25, up 6 spots. Kirk Cousins.
I might have him below both those guys. I definitely have May ahead of Cousins.
He's got 15 interceptions and 12 fumbles
I'd
this
say
year.
the fumbles are crazy too.
I mean, he's having a
terrible
Jameis Winston
yeah,
type
right,
season.
Right. I mean, he's going to be 50-50.
Although I will say this, the year Jameis had 30 interceptions, he also had double-digit fumbles.
Did he really?
He had over 40 turnover-worthy plays.
40 turnovers.
Yeah.
Yeah, let alone ones that didn't get picked off.
Yeah.
Right.
That's not good.
Oh, I didn't know about the fumbles.
The Lord did not deliver him
No.
from that year.
Hasn't gotten a whole lot better since.
At 24, down 3 spots, Derek Carr. That's a little rough.
It's a little harsh.
He's been playing
that's a
pretty
quality
well.
starter. Yeah.
At 23, down 3 spots, Jameis Winston.
I mean, he's a roller. We've talked about him so
Yeah.
much in the last month. I'm fine with that. Yeah.
At 26,
I'd have Aaron Rodgers
sorry,
below a couple of these guys.
at 22, up 6 spots, is Aaron Rodgers.
Okay. At least he's recent. I'd take Carr over Rodgers. I'd take Winston over Rodgers. He doesn't want to get hit. He only. I was listening to a deep dive on him. I mean, he's run the same plays his whole career, and the whole world knows it, and he hasn't adapted. And I mean, that's decades.
Yeah, it's not good.
No, makes the same adjustments to the line. Like it's all his way.
At 21, up 2 spots, C.J. Stroud.
I mean, I'd take him over all those guys, of course. And I don't blame him for a lot, but he hasn't played well.
He hasn't played great.
It's
no.
another one. Coming off a bye, what's the last month look like going into the playoffs for him? That's pivotal to me.
At 20, down 4 spots, Caleb Williams.
Well, that's too high. He still takes a ton of sacks that are on him.
Yeah, he's not throwing interceptions, but he's also not throwing touchdown passes.
I don't know that I'd have him over Drake May.
Yeah.
I mean, just how they're
the
playing.
overall season has been, if you just look at the stats, has been better. Because
But
again,
he gets real offensive linemen and real receivers.
but
too.
they scored 6 points when it mattered last week.
Yeah.
He's been they don't win on the road. They just don't.
They don't do that. That's bizarro.
At 19, holding steady, Bo Nix.
He should be ahead of the other rookies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At 18, down a spot, Jalen Hurts.
Fair. Yeah. I mean, sometimes these Rodgers and Cousins and Hurts that you had high hopes for, you have to be real about it and be like, that's not how they're playing.
13 games. He's completing 68% of his passes, but for only 2,600 yards. So he's barely averaging 200 yards a game.
Yeah, they're not pushing the ball in the field.
They're not pushing the ball down the field. He is averaging 8 yards per attempt, but they don't throw the ball a lot. And he's completing a high percentage. So that's where
You had some numbers, too, about, very few deep completions, 20-yard plus.
Yeah.
They're not there.
only the 5 interceptions, 544 rushing yards, 13 rushing touchdowns.
Sure.
8 fumbles. That could be something that's key this week.
Let's keep an eye on that
If you can get him to put the ball on the ground a couple of times, and we know the Steelers are good at that, that could be the key to this game.
He's the most strip sacked of all the quarters. He's one of.
Yeah.
And the Steelers are the best at that.
So keep an eye on that this week. That could be a very critical factor in this week's game.
For some reason, the Eagles don't recover fumbles well either.
Yeah.
Once it hits the ground, they just...
Do they not practice that? Everybody run away?
I don't know, but they have a really low fumble percentage.
Like a hand grenade. Everybody wants to get out of there. At 17, up 5 spots, Bryce Young.
Wow. Okay. I can live with that. Might be a little kind.
The overall numbers don't look great.
Of course, because before they got benched.
But if you look at the recent numbers, he's played well. He outplayed Jalen Hurts last week.
Yeah. I was about to say, I don't have any problem with him being ahead of Hurts.
If Xavier Legette holds on to that ball on third down, they win that game.
It's a whole different story.
It's a game. The game's over. 16, down 4 spots. Kyler Murray.
He should be kind of drifting down. I mean, he shouldn't.
He's almost the same as Hurts right now in that
I can see that. It's a good comparison.
68.4% completion percentage. So he's completing a lot of passes. 13 games, 2,862 passing yards. So he's thrown for a few more yards, but 15 touchdown passes, 8 interceptions. He's run for 444, 4 rushing touchdowns, 7 fumbles.
Not as much splash as you usually get with that.
It's not.
With him
they're
too,
almost managing, turning these guys into game managers.
Now, people always have blamed Cliff Kingsbury for Cliff's Cliff, that you hit the wall at the end of the season.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of that was those Cardinal teams. Everyone on the team was tiny. Yeah, they had like Marquise Brown and Rondell Moore and Kyler Murray. I mean, I think the toll of the season beats up his little body a little bit.
A little bit,
you know.
That's the one thing about Russell Wilson.
He's thick. I mean,
he's built like a running back.
He's well built, right?
Yeah, he is built like a running back. He's not built like a typical quarterback.
No, you would think he's a running back or a safety or something like that.
If he were 6'5" like Ben Roethlisberger, Russell Wilson
like Cam Newton or
Russell
Josh
Wilson
Allen
would weigh 280 pounds.
Yeah,
like
maybe he is bigger than those guys.
Yeah,
right.
he is a big, thick dude, like rocked up.
Right.
Yeah. 15 down 4 spots. Baker Mayfield.
Can't remember what he did this past week that would ding him, but
he is a
little volatile.
He's up to 13 interceptions and 12 fumbles.
Yeah, he turns the ball over too much. He probably always will.
Yeah, he still has that gene, the TO gene.
Yeah, it's going to never leave him either. But.
No, I don't think so. I mean, that's just kind of he's a gunslinger. He's Jameis Winston.
But he's not Favre. If you're a gunslinger, the negatives can wear you down.
At 14. Tua Tagovailoa.
I've been really impressed with how he's played lately. I might even have him higher, but there's some good quarterback play going on right now.
Yeah.
I'll be ahead of him.
13, down 4 spots. Jaden Daniels.
Okay. I would have 2 ahead of him.
At 12, down 4 spots. Justin Herbert.
Not playing with a whole heck of a lot at the moment.
He isn't.
Got some injuries, but hasn't been glorious either.
He missed that big throw down the middle.
Yeah, it was brutal.
That's one. If you're a top quarterback in the league and you've got a guy running wide open down the middle of the field, you got to put it on him.
No doubt. That has to be 100 out of 100.
Yeah, Palmer's.
It's hard enough to manufacture offense with those receivers.
And I'm sure that's something that they had schemed up all week long, and then you overthrow him by 10 yards.
Yeah, that was bad.
11, up 4 spots. Geno Smith.
Yeah, he's having a good year. Blocking's not great.
Yeah.
That might be a little rich for me, but
he's still only got 14. He's a 14 to 12 touchdown to interception ratio. That's not
I got no problem with him being over Baker, but I might have 2 ahead of him.
I think I would.
Yeah.
I'd have Herbert ahead of him, too.
I'd definitely have Herbert ahead.
Yeah. At 10, down 3 spots. Russell Wilson.
He didn't put up huge numbers. I don't know if it's enough to ding him 3 spots, but he was ahead of him. I'm glad he's ahead of Hurts. I think that's fair.
At 9, up 9 spots. Brock Purdy.
Yeah. I mean, they lit up I don't know if I'd reward them that much for doing that to the Bears team with a new coach that was a position coach 2 weeks ago.
Put it this way. We've seen what Brock Purdy looks like without his top guys on the field. You take Russell Wilson's top guy off the field, and he still won the football game.
Yeah.
When you do that with Brock Purdy, they don't win the football game.
No. I mean, just that was more about the Bears than the Niners.
Yeah. That was the other thing. The Bears haven't won a game on the road this year.
Yeah. They got smoked.
They didn't win a game. They haven't won a Sunday road game in 3 years.
Really?
On a Sunday.
So they happen to have a Thursday or Monday in there where they did win on the road.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it.
Maybe you need to examine like your travel schedule and how you do everything and your walkthroughs and go back to the drawing board.
At 8, up 2 spots, Sam Darnold.
Yeah. I don't know how real it is.
I don't trust it at all.
I don't trust, but he's playing really well and he's producing. I don't know that he will at his next stop. They throw him with the Giants next year.
Yeah, all of a sudden you don't have Justin Jefferson. You don't have,
O'Connell.
Yeah. 7, down a spot, Jordan Love.
Might be a little kind to him, too, but I'm not sure who I put over him. I probably have Herbert over him still, but he's been a little volatile, too.
At 6.
What are his numbers? I'm just curious.
So he's completing 62.8% of his passes, 2,724 yards, 8.3 yards per attempt, 21 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, 1 rushing touchdown, 4 fumbles.
I thought the turnovers would be a little higher than that. It's not great. But I thought they'd be a little higher.
He's kind of stopped throwing the interceptions than he was earlier in the year. There was like a stretch there.
There was a stretch there. That's why I thought
he was throwing at least one a game. But he's also not making as many plays as he was making.
Yeah, the highlights aren't as great either lately.
Yeah, like he's being more careful with the football. I might have Russell Wilson ahead of Jordan Love right now.
I could see that. I could definitely see that.
Like he takes better care of the football and
manages
actually throws touchdown passes. Yeah. You're allowed to do that. You're allowed to not throw interceptions and throw touchdown passes.
It doesn't have to be one or the other.
They don't have to. Yeah, it doesn't have to be. Oh, if we're going to live with it because he's going to throw 3 touchdown passes and 2 interceptions. Like,
right. Wilson's kind of doing the best of both worlds in that category.
Yeah. At 6, up 7 spots, Matthew Stafford.
He should be in the top 6-ish. Yes. Curious how the short week treats his old body. Tonight, but
At 5, holding steady, Patrick Mahomes.
Wow. But I get it. I mean, that's how he's playing.
Yeah. 4, holding steady, is Jared Goff.
Been really solid. Really solid.
3, down a spot, is Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, he was off, and the other 2 were great.
Were fantastic. Yeah. Joe Burrow's at number 2, up a spot. And then you have Josh Allen. Burrow, to me, here's the thing. Everybody blames the defense for them.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it.
It's really bad.
It's really bad.
Yeah.
But the last couple of weeks, Burrow's had opportunities to win some of these games late in the game. For example, Burrow didn't do really anything to win that game against the Cowboys on Sunday.
Oh, on the goofy punt play? Yeah.
Because Burrow's the one that they couldn't get them a first down in their own territory before the punt.
Mm-hmm.
Like if that game goes off and they the Cowboys don't touch the punt, they lose that game because Burrow couldn't get a first down in that situation.
It'd be a whole different conversation than that one.
So he's playing well to a degree.
I think he's playing phenomenal, but I think there is something to be said for your record's still pretty bad.
Yeah.
And your one-score game stuff, and there's a reason that we always talk about Ben and Brady and those guys being better than
And
Joe
it's not all him.
Games.
Their offensive line is not good.
No.
I get it. But he's got 2 great weapons on the outside. And, for example, in last week's game, he just ignored T. Higgins the entire second half. Like, you've got a guy out there who, according to Mike Tomlin, is a goon.
Oh, he's a great player, yeah.
He's a fantastic player, and you just ignored him to force the ball to chase the entire game.
So I heard a good interview with one of their beat reporters that knew his stuff, and he was talking contracts and salary cap. He thinks they're going to cut a lot of their defensive players, and he doesn't think I always forget his name. The defense coordinator is going to be back. But that just, I don't have a problem with it. I mean, that's what they should do. And he still thinks Higgins has a chance to return, maybe even get franchised again. But
that gets real expensive.
I would say it gets really expensive, and their team needs are great. They probably need 2 more offensive linemen, interior.
Yeah.
And as we said, 7 starters on defense. And that's even if you cut like Hubbard, like guys like that, that didn't quite live up to the money you gave them. There could be a lot of change on that defense.
They're paying Mike Hilton a lot of money.
I think he's going to get cut.
Yeah.
I think he's a perfect example.
Doesn't run well anymore.
No, right. I mean, a lot of those guys.
Love Mike Hilton, but
sure.
At some point, when you're a little guy and you play a physical game, it just
you come back here at league minimum, but I can't keep you at the price you're making. Everyone's got a cost.
Yeah, absolutely. But just something a little missing there with Burrow this year. Some of that killer instinct, I think.
I don't know.
I think he's having a fabulous year. Yeah. 33 touchdown passes, 6 interceptions. But I've watched them now over the last few weeks, and I've seen this happen
No, I hear where you're coming
several
from.
times now, where
Right.
he's had an opportunity at the end of a game to go out and make a play, and it doesn't happen.
Right. Like,
And
this
it's
is the
him.
first time.
It's not that, that they're going up and down the field and they're
Of
moving
course,
the
the
football.
defense is horrendous.
Yeah.
Right. But like this past week's a good example. Like, hey, it wasn't you doing something wonderful to
That
put you
won
over
the game,
top to beat the Cowboys, right.
And then he hits the pass to Chase, and Chase makes a move and beats him for a touchdown.
Sure. That's part of it.
That's a simple out.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I just think that I think he's having a great season,
No doubt.
but he's not having a great end of the game week after week.
I think that's fair.
And if you're going to be that guy,
Mhm.
when you put Mahomes in those kind of situations, and it hasn't, but he wins you the game.
Mm-hmm.
We need a field goal. Okay, I'm going to go get a field goal.
Yeah. Like Allen couldn't get it done against the Rams, but most of the time he does.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think that's maybe a separator a little bit, that I might have Mahomes a little bit higher
I
here,
would say Mahomes at 5 is what I'm not sure I could put Goff ahead of Mahomes.
because I feel the same way kind of about Lamar.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're, especially now that Tucker's not, good from 60 yards. Like
Well, yeah.
Lamar in those
You don't have that club in your
situations,
bag. Makes it tough.
If they're down 7 points and they got to go the length of the field, the minute and 30.
Mm-hmm.
I like my chances.
There's not many that I just chalk it up to a win, though. I mean, Mahomes is the best at
Yeah.
that stuff. I mean, that's
I don't want to be in that situation against Allen.
no.
I don't
I don't
want
want to be against Stafford either.
No,
I mean, just because they've been there, done it.
I might not want to be there in that situation against Russell Wilson.
I would say that some of the
He's done it
that
40
era-
plus times in his
Right,
career.
right,
These
right.
guys are just
been there, done
they've
it.
been at
goes a long way.
yeah.
It does.
But the Jared Goffs, okay.
Yeah.
Some of these other guys that haven't done it as much. I mean, sometimes you just don't have that. You look at Aaron Rodgers' career, as great as it's been,
That was always a little bit lacking.
he doesn't have a lot of fourth quarter comebacks.
No,
He doesn't have
he
a lot of game winning drives.
And it's not like, because I'm always winning.
No.
No, I mean, that's not how careers go.
Some
right?
guys have it and some guys don't. Roethlisberger had it.
had it without question.
Wilson has it.
Mhm.
Mahomes has it.
Yeah.
I think Allen has it
Oh, I do
if
too.
the coach doesn't screw it up.
with some weird. I mean, he has a couple of nightmare moments.
Yeah.
that cost you bad.
But I just think that's that it factor at the quarterback position. I think Burrow has it.
Yeah,
but it's not happened this year.
I don't want Burrow to have the ball with 2 minutes and 3
No,
timeouts.
no,
ever.
Not
You
with
know,
those
right.
receivers.
Never,
No.
ever.
I do like your pass rush against their offensive line in those kind of situations, but I don't want to put myself in that situation where I'm playing with a 6-point lead and he's got the ball with 2 minutes
Yeah,
left.
a lot of these Burrow games, by the fourth quarter, he's got like 3 new injuries.
Oh yeah, there's that too.
Yeah, right, yeah.
That's why I don't want to kill him for this.
And
But
Herbert's been a little bit like that.
it's
too.
just something I've noticed here over the just watching some of their games in recent weeks. I'm like, I can't believe he couldn't get a first down there. Like all you need is a first down.
I mean, this is just fact with the Bengals. Is we previewed them just recently. Their defense is as bad as their offense is good.
Yeah,
You should be closer to 500 then.
right.
You know
Their
what I mean?
point
Like,
differential says that they should be closer to
everything
500.
is like a total wash, but your record isn't.
Right.
You
You failed in some of those situations.
I mean, the defense is horrendous.
Horrendous.
I think it might be the worst in the league.
It's really, really bad.
Yeah, and it's in a really bad spot going forward.
Yeah, it's not going to be.
It's not going to be solved in a year. No way.
That's why I don't know that you spend more money on the offense and say, well, the defense will fix itself.
Yeah, I can't imagine Higgins being back.
Yeah.
I don't know how you can have that luxury.
No. Anyways, let's get to a break. That was Nick Shook's quarterback rankings. Russell Wilson coming in there at the, top
They
top
moved him
10.
down like 3 spots.
Yeah.
He was pretty high to begin with, though. A week ago, he was pretty
Yeah,
high.
he was at 7 a couple of weeks ago. That's probably a little too high, but
Yeah.
10 is, again.
I'm fine with 9,
if
10.
you're getting the 10th best quarterback play in the league, if you told us that at the beginning of the year, sign me up.
Yeah, for $1
Sign
million
me up.
a year or whatever he's paying him.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't care how much you're paying. If you're getting
Exactly.
the 10th best in the league, that's
Yeah.
10th best in the league. Anyways, let's get to a break. He is Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt and I'll be back to finish up the show right after this. I am Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. This is The Drive on the Steelers Audio Network. And Matt, Pro Football Focus has put together a little list here, ranking the best 2024 free agent signings from this season.
Okay.
And
Barkley's got to be pretty high on the list.
Well, and that's why I bring it up
Yeah,
today
yeah.
because earlier this week, Mike Tomlin said, "Hey, he's the most impactful acquisition of the offseason."
I think that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So you want to go from the bottom or the top?
Let's go to the bottom up.
Bottom? Okay. This is just on Pro Football Focus, according to their grades, I guess.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So number 20 is Darnell Mooney.
Yeah, it's a pleasant surprise. I kind of brushed that off like, but he's been very helpful.
19 is Aaron Brewer, the center for the Miami Dolphins.
Okay. Their line's a little more stable than I sometimes give it credit for. Armstead stayed healthy. Brewer's been an upgrade. I don't know if he's an upgrade. Connor Williams is good. He's got hurt.
Yeah. 18, cornerback Christian Fulton with the Chargers.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. 17, tight end Jonnu Smith with the Dolphins.
Yeah, without question. I don't think they're even talking about bang for buck. They're just talking about how much
How
impact
they played.
he made.
Yeah. 16, guard John Simpson with the Jets.
I'd have to study it more, but I probably wouldn't have picked that one out of the hat.
So the Steelers only have one guy on this list.
Okay.
That's Russell Wilson.
Oh, I'd say Queen. It didn't make
Queen,
it.
Deshaun Elliott.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Some of these guys you mentioned now haven't lit the world on
These
fire.
guys are more
Right.
impactful than John Simpson.
Yeah, exactly. That's
For
where
a
we were going.
3-10 team. Are you
Yes,
kidding me?
yes.
They can't run the ball real well.
No.
Like,
Maybe he
come on.
grades well for them, but okay.
15 is Calais Campbell with the Dolphins. So 3 Dolphins made the list.
Dolphins. I think he does have a lot of impact
Oh, there's
off
no
the
doubt.
field in
Calais
the Cam
Campbell's-
Hayward. Yeah,
Calais Campbell's probably a Hall of Famer.
really close. Yeah, I mean, the Man of the Year stuff.
He's got over 100 career sacks.
I'd love to have him be a Steeler for a year.
Yeah.
Just keep his snaps low, and him and Cam be buddies, and right.
Yeah, really good player.
Mm-hmm.
14, safety Kevin Byard with the Bears.
Okay, I had another one I'd have to study. I mean, I don't know. Their defense is falling apart.
Has he been better than Deshaun Elliott?
I'd be shocked.
Yeah.
I'd be shocked.
13, safety Brandon Jones with the Broncos.
I
mean, the Broncos' defense has been good.
Yeah,
but
yeah. And he's a solid player.
He's a good player.
I
I'm
don't think the world stops spinning without him.
Yeah.
On the field.
12, defensive lineman Poona Ford with the Chargers.
They've gotten a lot out of him. I mean, and Fulton.
Undersized nose tackle type.
Yeah. He's hard to play against, leverage player.
11 is Bobby Wagner with the Commanders.
On and off the field.
Yeah. 10, now we're into the top 10. Josh Jacobs with the Packers.
Sure. I don't know if he's an upgrade over Jones, but it's a different style and a physicality that they need.
Well, he doesn't, the thing about Jones is that he always misses time here and there. And Josh Jacobs, you say what you want about him.
He's tough as could be.
He's like Najee Harris. They do not miss time.
No, they play no matter what.
Yeah. 9 is guard Kevin Zeitler with the Lions.
Sure.
So 2 former Ravens offensive linemen make this list.
Yeah, and both their guards are pretty rough as it speaks.
Yeah.
Might double check that move.
8, edge rusher Jonathan Greenard with the Vikings.
He's been exceptional. Surprised he's that low.
7 is the guy that they switched spots,
Yeah,
Daniel Hunter.
He's coming up soon, yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone's happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
6, safety Xavier McKinney with the Packers.
He's in Defensive Player of the Year consideration. He's not going to win it, but I think he's like 3rd in the Vegas odds right now.
Yeah,
His interceptions.
all of his interceptions came early.
Mhm.
And he has 2 pass breakups.
Really?
Like he either intercepts the ball or nothing.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of some good fortune there, I think. 5, a guy the Steelers will see this week, Zach Baum with the Eagles.
Love him, yeah. Really been a nice pickup.
4 is Russell Wilson.
Okay, sure. He's
So-
probably the only quarterback on the list.
He is not. 3 is running back Derrick Henry.
Okay.
2 is running back Saquon Barkley.
Who am I not thinking of here?
And 1 is Sam Darnold with the Vikings.
I didn't think of him being a free agent. He's a quarterback.
As a quarterback, I get
Barkley
it.
would be one, but
Barkley would be one for me as well, but I get it.
yeah. I mean, where would they be without him would be disaster. The record would be the total
Yeah,
opposite,
well, I mean,
of
yeah.
course. But he's been really good, and I get the quarterbacks carry weight, but he's not in the MVP category.
No.
I mean, Barkley is.
Henry was in, most of the season was not far off. Like,
and Darnold versus Wilson's a conversation.
Yeah.
Darnold started the whole season though.
Yeah, that's a difference. Yeah.
I mean, there's going to be more numbers,
which I get, but
I forgot that he was a free agent.
I can't believe Deshaun Elliott or Patrick Queen didn't make this list.
That does surprise me.
Now I understand this is going by Pro Football's
I have no
Focus's
idea
grades.
how they grade.
Elliott's been one of the best run defense grades of the entire season, regardless of position. They haven't graded Queen quite as highly.
I know early in the year they hadn't.
Yeah.
I assumed that corrected itself. Gotten a lot better.
Elliott's been great.
They both have been really good. And some of the safeties on there haven't been super high impact guys besides McKinney.
Tell me, not more impactful than a guard for the Jets,
Denver, and even Byard. Byard's a name, but he hasn't been a difference maker.
It's just I get it. Some of the stuff when Pro Football they go by their grades. And I don't know.
Yeah, I mean I don't think it's a terrible list, but I'm a little shocked that neither of those guys are on there.
Yeah, well, if you're going to go 20 deep.
Yeah, I say the back 10 didn't light the world on fire.
Well, let me ask you this. So we talked earlier in the show about this draft class and the impact that it's had.
Yeah, it's big.
You've got the number 4 biggest acquisition of the offseason. I think that was fair.
Yeah, I think I don't think that's misplaced.
But I don't hear Omar Khan's name mentioned for front office guy of the year.
I mean, especially considering what you paid for the quarterbacks.
Like how you maneuvered that whole thing.
Yeah, it was brilliant.
It was brilliant.
Yep. I mean, I guess the knock is you never landed the receiver that everyone wanted. But other than that, I don't know what you would be. If you're the attorneys against them, where would you have a hard time?
Your team's 10-3.
Right.
You're probably going to win the AFC North. That everybody picked you last.
Do you have any idea who people are talking about as executive of the year?
Well, Roseman with the Eagles always gets a lot of love.
Okay. I mean, rebuilt the defense quite well.
Washington, who's the GM in Washington?
Okay.
Because they drafted Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, and I like that they took the approach of going to get Ertz and Eckler and Wagner for
you build a nest around your young quarterback,
like
but you kind of got lucky that
right.
It was him and not Caleb Williams that was available to you.
Yeah, it probably would have gone better for Williams in Washington, but I don't know.
Remarkably better? No,
I don't know. Their line in defense is a lot better than I thought they were going to be, but I still think they have a lot of work to do. They didn't inherit a great team.
Yeah. But again, if you look at the preseason prognostications and where the expectation of what the Steelers were going to be versus what the reality is, there aren't many guys that did a better job this offseason.
That might be a fun thing to do. Probably not a bad time of year to do it. We should have done like in the bye week, but pull up all the preseason Vegas over-under totals. Like, how long did it take till you were a winner or loser on those?
Yeah.
If you bet the over or under. Like, Steelers passed theirs pretty quick.
Pretty quickly.
There aren't many teams that pass it quicker. Probably Washington.
Yeah.
Teams that had really low expectations that had good years. But there's definitely the Bengals, Dallas, Miami.
On the other end of that, there were some teams that you were out of it pretty quickly.
Exactly.
The Jets.
The Jets, right. I mean, Bengals are real high on the list too.
Yeah.
A lot of those are double-digit win type teams that have no chance of
no chance.
There. Yeah.
And haven't had a chance for over a month.
Yeah. So, Bears, another one to be bad. Right.
So, anyways, I just thought that was interesting, and we'll get to see a couple of these free agent acquisitions this weekend.
Yeah, and Barkley has to be one.
That's kind of changed over the course of the last decade or so. You didn't used to be able to build as much through free agency, but with teams signing guys to shorter contracts now, it's a little more.
You can go find things.
Yeah.
It's hard to find a tackle.
Yeah, certain areas you don't want to pay for.
Right.
But there are some, you can always find safeties on the free agent market. You can always find a linebacker on the free agent market.
Another thing, too, is look what's available at the trade deadline. You can't get a tackle.
No.
It's really hard to get a starting corner.
Tough time getting guards.
You can get a receiver.
Yeah.
You can find some things. You can get an edge pass rusher. I mean, I know there are premium positions, but there's edge guys that move at the trade deadline every year.
Yeah.
There's receivers that move every year. You could always get a running back.
Just the way the game has evolved and general managers have evolved with that stuff. Yeah.
What are teams willing to trade?
Matt, that's going to do it for the show today.
Nice. It was fun.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll be back again tomorrow, give all of our picks, including the Steeler game. give you our DFS lineup for the weekend, all that fun stuff. But for my partner, Matt Williamson, for Justin Miller here on site, making sure the Justin Miller hotline is fired up. Get the hamsters going with that. Payton Wilson, we'd like to thank him as well. Tyler Vittmeyer here, making sure our video gets out onto YouTube. Check that out there. I am Dale Lolley. We thank you for listening to this edition of The Drive on the Steelers Audio Network.
Steelers football happens here. The Pittsburgh Steelers Audio Network.